Am I the antagonist for telling my 58 daughter, 25, that her destination wedding is getting too expensive for me to participate in every activity? My youngest child told me about this subreddit when I was telling him about this disagreement, and I am hoping to achieve some clarity by getting outside opinions on this situation. My eldest daughter is getting married at Niagara Falls this autumn to her longtime girlfriend. I support her and her relationship, although my daughter sometimes accuses me of not being sufficiently supportive. I'm gifting her $5,000 for the wedding, but her fiancé's parents are wealthier than me and my husband, and they have given them a much larger sum. I believe as a result, my daughter and her future wife have chosen a location that is more convenient for her in-laws' side of the family, rather than ours. This is fine, but my daughter continues to ask me to come out to New York for certain events when it is not financially feasible for me to attend, since this is several states away from where our family lives. I got frustrated this past weekend when my daughter asked me if I could attend yet another inaccessible event and was not very patient with my response. I told her that she knew my budget, and I was getting tired of explaining my financial restrictions every time she had an unreasonable request. She had a freak out and hung up on me, and has not answered my calls or texts since. Am I the asshole? Maybe sit down with your daughter and have an open conversation about how many trips you can realistically take to help prioritize the most important events. If she really wants you there, she could possibly cover some of the expenses for the trips you can't afford. It's important to communicate openly and honestly about financial limitations. Am I the antagonist for refusing to call my in-laws Oma and Opa? I'm 28 years old, due in June with my first. My husband is 29 years old. His mother in particular is super excited to meet our baby, but has been lamenting over her age for a long time now. Apparently she stopped celebrating her birthday after 50 and refuses any acknowledgement of her birthday since I've known her. I don't even know her exact birthday. None of her kids, nor her husband, have been allowed to acknowledge it without her getting upset. But I do know because of her extreme lamenting about it that she will be 60 this year. While she is so eager to meet her grandbaby, she has been avoiding any of the grand labels since we announced my pregnancy. When she talks to people about the baby, she says things, "my son's baby," rather than "my grandbaby," which doesn't bother us as it's her problem, but the lengths she goes to avoid saying "grandmother, grandma" comes across as excessive and ridiculous. Most specifically, she has completely rebuked the term grandmother, grandma for herself to the point where she outright says things like, "Yes, my son is having a baby, but I'm not going to be a grandmother." She sat us down last weekend and told us that she will not allow the baby to call her grandma or grandmother. Okay, totally fine. My own mom prefers Nana, so we suggested mother-in-law goes by Nana as well, and then we just use initials. Nana Mayana K. She said no, it has to be original, and she'd only go by Nana if my mom doesn't. So we threw out Nanny, Nan, Grammy, G, and she said those are all way too old sounding. Asked if she had any ideas, and she said the only name she'll accept is Oma, and explained to us that because she's Oma, father-in-law will be Opa. Nobody in either of our families is German, not even a little. I told her this was getting ridiculous. We're not even German, and while she can call herself anything she wants, I'm not calling her Oma. I don't care if my kid starts calling her Oma once she can talk. I won't actively encourage nor discourage her or future kids from saying Oma, but I personally am not participating. My husband agreed with me, but told me privately that, while he thinks it's ridiculous, he'd be fine with doing it just to humor his mom. I just really don't want to. Mother-in-law is upset and saying that I'm forcing her into old lady names. By no means does she need to go by grandma or any of our suggestions, but I just feel weird and ridiculous using the names from a language, heritage that has nothing to do with any of us, just so that mother-in-law doesn't feel old. Am I the a-hole? I don't see why you care about the trivial difference between Nana and Oma. Where did Mill even get Oma and Opa from if she didn't realize it's grandma-pa in another language? This is what she wants to be called. Why can't you respect it? This will only be a big deal if you make it a big deal. Call her what she wants to be called. Am I the antagonist for not helping my wife around the house? I, 36, and my wife, 38, have been married for 8 years and we have 2 kids, male 7 and female 5. She is a stay-at-home mom in charge of all the housework and childrearing while I work and cover us financially. Before you start attacking me, hear me out. We ran into a bit of bad luck with debt a few years ago, and as a result, on average I work 50-60-hour weeks to help get us out of it. I am a carpenter, so the days are long and sometimes I drive quite a bit to get to the work sites. By the time I get home, I am exhausted and pretty much eat then collapse into bed. On Saturdays I take my son and daughter out to his soccer games, then back home for lunch, while my wife goes to book club, lunch with her friends, then usually some sort of hike or yoga class. She is back by mid-afternoon, at which point she takes back over the kids and I make dinner. Maybe do a bit of laundry and clean the floors. On Sundays it is reversed. I go out with my mates, by mid-afternoon I return. We have our babysitter come around and we spend the night together. Recently my wife has come to me saying that I need to start doing more around the house. That I need to do more cleaning, organizing, looking after the kids, grocery shopping, cooking. I know that she does a lot, and I am in no way saying she doesn't deserve a break, but I am working really hard too, especially at the moment. I feel like I do the best I can with how much work I'm doing. I know there is a lot in social media right now about men not doing enough at home, but I never thought I was one of those guys. I explained this to her and she said I was being ridiculous, that I spend all day having fun at work with my workmates while she deals with the children and all of the house chores. Then I get home and just eat and go to bed. This isn't the plan for forever, but I thought it was going all right for now. Am I the jerk? Not the antagonist. Your wife could benefit from restarting work and splitting responsibilities evenly, whether that means dividing housework or hiring help. It's important to consider if you have been contributing equally or expecting her to take care of everything. It seems like there may be some misconceptions about each other's workload, so showing each other the realities of your day-to-day routines could provide perspective. Am I the antagonist for being happy the bride-to-be kicked me out of the wedding party for eating dinner? I, 26-year-old female, have been friends with the bride-to-be, 23-year-old female, for the last 5 or so years, and her wedding is set for 3 months from now. She asked me to be a bridesmaid and I was honored. She is the first of my friends getting married, and she has been a rock for me in some tough times and vice versa. She wanted all the girls to be best friends before the big day, so last month, she organized a hangout that she had said was me and one other girl, who I knew well. I showed up early and discovered that about 12 people were coming instead. Large groups are not great for me, but I was already there, so I helped set up. Unfortunately, I did not account for the fact that I was called in early to work that day and was asked to stay late. I did not eat all day, so when I was over, I asked if I could eat something. The bride-to-be suggested broccoli. That was for when the guests arrived. Having not eaten all day, I said I was going home to eat a meal, and she expressed that I was really letting her down if I did not stay, and that I was letting my anxiety get to me. Despite this, I was really hungry, and had already met most of the girls when shopping for the wedding dress, and had went to brunch to chat afterwards. All this to say, I left at around 6:30 p.m. This resulted in a phone call afterwards bringing up old disagreements we had had in our friendship that she had reevaluated and decided I had ill intentions. Over the next 3 weeks, she accused me of several awful things. One was that my desire to not get married made it likely that my relationship was going to end at any moment and ruin her big day. Another was that our old friend who she had a falling out with had poisoned my mind into being mean to her and spying on her to report back to the old friend. This made me feel like she was doubting my character, and also just made me very on edge, as every time we hung out, even if we had a fun time, she would call me or message me afterwards and detail something I said that she took the wrong way. I confronted her about this 2 days ago. I said that it was making me a little anxious and detailed what things she had said to upset me. Despite the high stakes of this conversation, her words not mine, she had had some shots and an edible before the call, and it ultimately felt pointless due to her being drunk high. She called me today and told me I'm no longer invited to be part of the wedding party because I'm not 100% in her corner, her words. Am I the asshole for being happy about no longer being included? This situation sounds like a rather toxic friendship. Clearly her expectations of you are unrealistic, and the whole spying on you seems more like something from junior high. You're definitely better off not being part of the wedding party. Also, inviting someone to a private event that turns into a large gathering and then denying them food is unacceptable. Am I the antagonist for answering my dad honestly when he asked if I would want to move out with my sister? My dad got married 4 years ago. Before that, it was just him, my sister Delaney, and me. Our mom died when I was 3 weeks old and Delaney was only 2, so we don't remember her, and dad was single for a long time. 6 years ago, he met Jess, and they eventually got married, and Jess and her 2 kids, Bella and Robbie, moved in with us. It was difficult. We hadn't lived together long when we were forced into a lockdown for COVID, and we were all up in each other's business. It was tense and awkward. I spent a lot of time with Delaney, playing video games and stuff to pass the time. My dad and Delaney fought a bit because he wanted to know why Bella and Robbie weren't joining us. Delaney would tell him we always had time together as sisters, and that wasn't changing because he got married. Bella wanted to be included, but she mostly wanted to be included with Delaney. She didn't really want me to hang out with her. She thought I should hang out with Robbie so she could get time with Delaney. Delaney didn't want that, and the 2 of them started fighting a lot. Ever since then, the 2 of them have grown to hate each other. It got really bad last year. My dad and Jess tried therapy to resolve things, and my dad took my sister aside a few times and told her she needed to try harder. But she told him she didn't want to try, and she didn't want to make a family work with Jess, Bella, and Robbie. My dad didn't really believe her at first, but the fighting got worse. And then a few days ago, Bella said she was tired of us all living together because she thought she was getting a family, and instead Delaney refuses to let her be her sister. My dad asked Delaney how she felt, and whether she liked them enough, even if she just thought they were okay outside of her and Bella's fighting, to make it work. She said no. She said tolerating it would always be the best she could do. After some more talking, it was decided maybe Delaney should go live with our grandparents. I got mentioned at some point, and so Dad and Jess decided I should be asked if I'd rather go with Delaney or stay with the family. The truth is, I would rather go with Delaney, and I said that. I told Dad I love him and I didn't want to leave him, but I didn't want to be apart from Delaney either. Dad wasn't too surprised. Jess was upset because Delaney and I had fought a little before that as well, so she thought I would pick them. I told Dad I wouldn't fight him over it, but if he wanted the truth, that was it. Jess told me afterward I should have lied for their sake. Am I the asshole? Absolutely not the antagonist. Your father and Jess have no right to expect you to change your plans and stay with them, especially considering it was a last-minute decision and you didn't have time to process anything. Jess's suggestion that you should have lied for their sake shows her true colors and lack of consideration for your feelings. It's clear that she is manipulative and trying to emotionally blackmail you. Your decision to stay with your sister is completely justified, and you have every right to prioritize your own happiness and well-being. Stay strong and don't let them guilt-trip you into doing something you don't want to do. You are definitely not the asshole in this situation. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom to spend money on a tutor for her favorite daughter because I won't be helping my sister? My parents had me, 16 years old, and my sister, 14 years old. We lost our dad a few years ago. My mom has heavily favored my sister since she was born, to the point she has raised my sister to be a pretty terrible person to be around. At least she is to me. Dad noticed it and called Mom out, and at some point they did therapy where apparently it came to light that the grandmother she named me after was a person my mom had a lot of resentment toward. Why she named me after her then, I will never really know. She claimed not to realize at the time, but she at least has some resentment toward me based on that. She also had some postpartum depression when I was born and claimed the early months with me were a very dark time. Whenever we fight, she takes my sister's side regardless of what happens. Sister takes food off my plate? Won't get in trouble. If I yell at her for it, I get punished. If I take food off my sister's plate in return, I get punished. Sister takes something from my room? Nothing said. I bang on her door after she locked it and try to get it back. Punished for harassing my sister, making noise. I tell my mom about this stuff happening. She says something about learning how to share or my sister being the baby or my sister needing more, so let it go. My sister loves to gloat that mom loves her more. My sister has told me that mom has told her she loves her but tolerates me. My sister told me mom wishes I had died instead of dad. She told me they talk about that stuff. She also told me after dad died mom pulled all the money from my college savings and put it into hers. My sister also lies to mom and claims I did stuff when she feels like I didn't get in enough trouble recently. In June she got me grounded for the whole month by breaking her laptop and claiming I had done it. She knew it would be believable too because I resented mom for buying my sister a brand new gaming laptop while I had to buy a really cheap second-hand one myself with money from my birthday and Christmas. Mom didn't even let me say anything, and my sister gloated that mom will always believe her over me. It came to my mom's attention a few months ago that my sister is struggling in school in a couple of places and she can't seem to catch back up easily. But I always had good grades. I could even graduate early in theory if my school offered that. They don't. My mom is aware of this from past years, so she told me a couple of weeks ago that I need to start tutoring my sister before she gets into a hole she can't climb out of. I told my mom I won't help my sister. Mom told me I will, and it's my duty to help. I told her to spend money on a tutor for her favorite daughter because I won't do a thing to help either of them with this. I told her they don't deserve my help. Mom asked how I could put my sister's future at risk. I shrugged. I said. Mom called me names and slammed a door when she left me. The tension is high because of this and my sister is loving it. Am I the antagonist? Up. You are not the antagonist in this situation. It is clear that your sister has been deceitful and manipulative, and it's not fair that you are left to deal with the fallout. It's important to stand your ground and not let your sister's mistakes be pinned on you. Your mom's behavior is unacceptable, and if emancipation is an option for you, it may be worth considering given the toxic environment you are in. Remember to prioritize your own well-being and future, even if it means taking the GED at 16 and pursuing opportunities that will lead you away from this toxic situation. Best of luck to you. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.